Balak, here to God willing make a short video on the Maamar from Beis Tammuz from Tafshin Test. That's 1969. I have this beautiful book that my friend lent me, Torah and it's all about Beis Tammuz, which is a day we emphasize every year. It's a very important day. The Rebbe stresses it, the importance of the Nazi and what the Nazi's liberation means and what the Nazi can accomplish, and how we connect and how we're all connected. Very important book. Anyway, as always, learning to bind us with the God, pleasure, God, hasten, and redemption. Going through some stuff. I think I'm jump right in. You can try to make shorter videos here, keep them under 15 minutes. So we're actually holding Os Dalid. The question is about the Paraduma, the famous super rational law in Torah about the red heifer, cooking the red heifer, and it purifies people who become impure from the dead, from touching a corpse or something alike. And it's said to be the most super rational mitzvah in the Torah that's hard to understand. But Moshe understood the reasons. The question is, how is it a super rational law to him? And we touched basically on that every mitzvah has the commonality of being Hashem's will. We do it just because Hashem said, whether you understand it or not. And it also has an aspect, every mitzvah has an aspect of that we imagine we understand, like don't murder, don't steal. Which theoretically we could understand, but at the same time you see people have been murdering and stealing for years, so how well do they really understand it? Alright, so the Rebbe continues, Os Dalid, page Vav. Moshe. Let's look at some Tehillim where we talk about Moshe's prayer. Beis Zohar, the Zohar says, Moshe he tefilas Asher. Moshe's prayer is the prayer of a rich man. Let's see what that says. Let's look at what the Rebbe Yatz, the Frierdiker Rebbe, said, the one whose redemption we're celebrating in this Maamar, what he said in another famous Sicha, She'amizmer tefillah Moshe Shaykh L'Gula Yud the Yud Ket Tes Kislev. This prayer, which I believe is chapter 90 in the Psalms, the Rebbe says is relevant to the holiday of Yud Tes Kislev, which is the liberation of the Alter Rebbe, also another tremendous Hasidic liberation where Hasidus really started to proliferate from being a very insular, local experience of, it was spreading, but, drop by drop, and now the first few streams started to trickle. But when the Rebbe Ratz, the Frierdiker Rebbe, was released, many generations later, that's when the dam just burst open and the rivers started gushing all over the world, and now you see there's Chabad houses in every country you can imagine. I don't know if that's true every country, but I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of Chabad houses. It's probably harder to name a country that doesn't have a Chabad house than does, or probably much harder to name a college campus that doesn't have than does. But you see it spread to all over the globe. I mean, when the Alter Rebbe was released, yes, it started to spread throughout Russia and maybe even in a little bit into Eastern Europe, but not like it is now where it's in America and all over the globe. America is said to be the lower continent because Israel is the top of the world from the Torah's perspective. So it's said that the giving of the Torah happened in the top half of the world. It didn't happen in the bottom half of the world. Now you see even the inner dimension of Torah, Hasidus, being spread all over the bottom part of the globe and being disseminated from there more than ever. And yes, all of this was given at Mount Sinai, even the Hasidus, but it's just a question of what was revealed and when does it come out. And Hasidus is the most powerful medicine that exists. It helps reveal who you are, your innermost strengths, your innermost weaknesses, unfortunately, and it gives you a light to look at them. I mean, I don't know, I like that Hasidus is teaching me how high I can fly and that I have an infinite godly soul that's beyond space and time. It can't be affected by any of the events in this world. That's all very nice. But sometimes I need more that Hasidus accepts my base side, that I'm a human being of flesh and blood with temptations, desires, and I make mistakes, and it doesn't judge me. It's a very interesting combination to put the most godly soul into the most fleshy snakeskin and see what you get, and it creates an interesting free choice of the animal versus the godly, and it's a very exciting battle. I mean, if you like sports, there's no sport better than this, but when you are the sport, it's a little different because you're the audience and the team at the same time. It's a unique experience. But Hasidus can help you reach to who you really are. I mean, I didn't come to Hasidishkeit until I was on the planet a few decades, and it caused me to learn I didn't have the first idea about knowing who I was, and Hasidus is giving me, and some of it I really like, and some of it I'm like, ooh, it's not so pretty. I don't want to admit that's me, and I don't necessarily feel I have the tools to work on it. I feel overwhelmed with some of the things that are exposed, some of my weaknesses. But Chassidus reminds me I don't have to do it on my own. I have God's help, I have the Rebbe's help, and for me personally, and I would say my words, if I can not fight myself, if I can get out of my own way, if I can accept that, that I'm not perfect and this is how God made me, and God didn't make any mistakes in how He made me, then I can really kind of let God in and let the greater forces in and start to heal. But when I want to play in the land of denial, which isn't just a river in Egypt, and pretend it's not me, and try to hide it, I don't get very far, and it jams up the progress. And I like to say it's like trying to show a house where you don't want the buyers to see one of the rooms. And yeah, it's only that one room you don't want them to see, and maybe they won't even go in there, but it affects the way you show the rest of the house. So this can be very liberating. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of bravery, a lot of honesty, a lot of humility to get there. But, a little self-love and a little self-effacement, a lot of self-effacement and some faith and some trust. You can get to places you never imagined, achieve things you never dreamed of, and become who you really are. It's the main thing. So, Yud Tes Kislev, Kedush Amar Zak and Hayom B'Kol Yom Shir Tehillim Kosh Halchi Mech Chodesh, and that the Alter Rebbe, while he was in prison, he would say that the Tehillim of the day, as we say now, and this Tehillim that we're talking about, chapter 90, is the first chapter of the 19th day of the month, which is the day he was released. So he was, according in Lubavitch, we say the daily Tehillim every day, ideally after the morning prayer. It's broken up over the 29 or 30 days. It's approximately 5 Tehillim a day. So on the 19th of the 150 Tehillim, I think it's 90 to 97 that we say. So that was part of his daily routine, was the Alter Rebbe to say chapter 90 on the day of his release. To move on from this, we can understand this shows that the fact that the Alter Rebbe was saying Kapitel 90 on his release of the 19th of Kislev must have a relevance to the 12th and 13th of Tammuz when the Rebbe Ratz was released. Because we say every Jewish leader, every Rebbe fills the place of the one before him. So we had first the Baal Shem Tov bring Chassidus into the world, then the Magid, and then the Alter Rebbe being the father of Chabad Chassidus, where Chassidus stresses the spiritual and the inner dimension of Torah, but the Alter Rebbe started to bring it into an intellectual way, where we can understand even in our simple grasp, that we can understand even in a simple comprehensive way godliness, and map it down to the detail and the molecule, and make a whole puzzle out of it that's definable and translatable, and that you can pass on to someone else. So it was more inspiration than kind of good feelings before, something beyond intellect. The Alter brought it down to intellect. Now we can understand all these inner dimensions of Torah. And after the Alter Rebbe on through our Rebbe, who's Chai V'Kayim, who's still with us, there he is in the background, and thereby also the Rebbe Ratz, the previous Rebbe, who at Tchila Shnas Tzadik de Balak Geula, which particularly in this year, she had Beis Tammuz Yom Halachas Balak Geula, who at Tchila Shnas Tzadik de Balak Geula, Bo Matilim Lomar Mizmor Tzadik Shvilam Hu Tefillah Moshe. And since this year we said was 1969, and the Rebbe Ratz, the Frierdiker, was born, I believe, in 1880. So this would be his 89th year. So for the Rebbe who's saying Tehillim for the previous Rebbe every year, he was saying this chapter 90, every day, showing an additional relevance of chapter 90 to the Frierdiker Rebbe, to his redemption, to these days, and how they're connected to the Alter Rebbe's release, because all the Rebbeim are one continuation of each other. Niana, we're talking of the Mizmor Zeh, who Tefillah Moshe. What's the content of this prayer? Yani Mabayim Behemshik Mizmor La'achrei Atevas Tefillah Moshe Shalakim, the part that comes after Moshe is introduced as a man of God. Haman Yanim Shemoshe Amram Tefillah. So what does Moshe say? Yanim Pratim, the particular things. Avanyano Aklali de Mizmor, but what's the general idea of this prayer? Shugam Shemo HaMizmor Tefillah Moshe, is that it's Moshe's prayer. Moshe prayed for some stuff and he said this and that, but what what captures what I can't think of the word I want. I'd say what capitalizes this whole prayer, but that's not the word I mean. But I'm gonna say it anyway. What capitalizes this whole prayer is that what's the conceptual content of the entire prayer? Is that it's Moshe's prayer. Conceptualizes the prayer, I think. Tefillah Moshe, Tefillah Asher. It's a rich prayer. Moshe's connected. I'm adding my words. I don't know what the Rebbe is about to say, but Moshe is a rich man. He's very connected in spirituality, and he's rich physically too. And I should say, what about that? But spiritually, he's very connected to God. That's the true wealth, and everything's good. And no matter what happens to a person, although we want revealed good, it would all be the same. Because he's got God with him, so whatever it is, God's got his back. Yanu Lakadi Mizmor. Muzamu and Shishakis Mizmor Gula Yud Kislev, the Yud Beis Tammuz, who be eager Mitzad Yanu Klaus and Mizmor. And from this we can understand if the general concept of the prayer is that it's Moshe's prayer, and we've established by the previous points that's also connected to the Rebbe Yatza's redemption, because the Rebbeim are one continuation, and it's his 90th year. We must say that the fundamental, the most important commonality between that prayer and these 2 days is that it was a prayer of Moshe. Tefillas Moshe, Tefillas Asher, Kedam Sif Yud Gimel. A rich man's prayer, which is going to be explained much more in the 13th chapter, which is a long, long ways down the road. And I'm trying to keep the videos to 15 minutes. Let's just take a quick peek. That he had the essence of God revealed to him. That's even higher than the transcendent light. And a person's in that place, he's always redeemed. There's no concealments there. There's not even really revelation there to even talk about concealment. There's just essence. Even nature becomes part of the godly soup, so to speak. And it gives, at that level, if we connect to the Rebbe, it gives power to all of us to live on such a level and have this type of faith and spread out the well springs. Furthest parts of the globe, and we'll see God. Alright, so Rebbe says many times in Parshas Truma in Nun Aleph Nun Beis that if we understand that we're Hashem's gold, it'll turn into real gold, so we have to keep that in mind. And really this was more just of a setup chapter, it appears, than anything else, but we're setting up that another thing that really characterizes the theme of Yud Beis Yud Gimel Tammuz is the 90th chapter of Tehillim, which is Moshe's prayer, which is a rich man's prayer. And we're going to see, God willing, more what that means as we go forward. I want to give everyone a blessing for the day. They should have a good day. They should have revealed godliness and goodness. And let us know what type of videos you want to see. If you want more Chumash, Gemara, Tehillim, Kedushim, Rebbe stories, whatever sounds good. And just a blessing to all my children, that you should be well and have Mashiach.